Have you ever heard my accent? Ever wondered where I'm from? You know, a lot of people ask me if I'm from England, Australia, Boston. My friends from there know that's not the case. You know the truth? What you hear from me is a speech impediment. Why don't you take a moment, just imagine you are, let's say, 4 years old, and the doctors realized you're partially deaf. Explaining why you had a language all of your own, one your mother could barely understand. How would your life be different today if it took 14 surgeries and a decade of speech therapy just so you could speak English or your native tongue? For me, and if you're a bit like me, all you would have left to overcome is a severe speech impediment and a fear of speaking to anyone. You see, as I've grown, I've realized that if you can't articulate your words properly, if you trip over your tongue, people treat you as if you're stupid. Unintentionally in most cases, but it happens. Has it ever happened to you or someone you know, where someone had this perception of you that was different than your reality? For me, as a result of that, I made a choice. My choice? Well, I always chose to be invisible. Rarely seen, never heard. I hid within the crowd. I remember in high school, I used to play these games. Like, for example, how many years in a row could I get from not being in my yearbook? They only caught me once. Or how do I not be noticed and be invisible within the crowd so that the teacher never calls on me or nobody knows my name and people forget I even existed? It was simple. You just, you sit close enough to a group so it looks like you're part of them, far enough away that they don't ask you any questions. You change up your routine every single day. You never take the same path twice. You hide in the bathroom to eat your lunch. All techniques I learned to just disappear. You know, it wasn't actually until I was about 17 that I finally woke up. I remember it like it was yesterday. I sat up in bed and I realized that I'm scared, terrified to speak to you. You see, back then, fear controlled my life. Fear prevented me from living the life that I am meant to live. Now, that doesn't sound right though, does it? Would you ever tell a 17-year-old boy or girl that your life is going to be determined based on what you're too scared to do? I hope not. But I got a more important question for you. Do you live life that way? Do you let your fear dictate the choices you make and the life you get? You see, that day when I sat up in bed, I realized something. I realized that I had a choice. And I made the decision that day to choose to face my fear. And instantly I got scared. My anxiety started pulsing, my heart started racing, and I realized I couldn't do it on my own. How could I ever get myself out of the situation I was in? I was the one that got me here. I realized I needed some help. Now, I'm very fortunate. Even though I hid from people, there was one friend, he my oldest friend. I hadn't seen him in years. Remember, I was 17 at the time. He had the gift of the gab. And he tried to stay in touch with me, but I avoided him like the plague. He was just too social, too many people around, and it went against what I was truly trying to do. And so I decided I would ask him for help. I jumped in my car. I drove to his house. When I got there, I knocked on his door, and when he answered, he was shocked to see me. It had been years I've been avoiding this guy. I told him my situation. I told him how I needed his help to achieve my goal, to be my mentor. You want to know what he said to me? He stepped outside that door. He put his arm around me, and McLaren said, "Come with me, young grasshopper. We're going to a party." All right, we're going to go to a party. I have my mentor. I have someone to teach me, to show me, to help me. There's going to be people. There's going to be women. I changed my mind. I tried to walk away. Oh, I don't know what happened to me. I just turned around and he grabbed me by the back of the neck. And he's like, you asked me for help. Do you want it or not? Just holding on to my shirt collar. Now think about that for a moment, that physically he had me. Like, hey, you came here, you asked me, do you want it? Or are you going to determine how I help you? Right? But think about in life, I don't know about you, but for me that's happened so many times where both physically or metaphorically, someone has had me by the shoulder and I realize that this is either a moment that I can change, I have a choice right now that I can change my life forever, or I can go back to doing what I always did, get the same results I always got. Fortunately for me, I did try to quit. I tried to run away, but he had my shirt. He wouldn't let me go. He kicked me in the ass to get me to that party. And when I got there, I fell into my old habits and did what I always did. I hid in the corner. I stayed quiet. I stayed shy. And he tried to help me. He kept telling me things to do, encouraging me, getting people to talk. Like, it just, nothing worked. I just stood there and I beat myself up and ripped my head apart and I stayed in my head and I just imagined all the things that would happen if I start to speak. My stutter's going to come back and I'm not going to speak and I'm not going to be able to. I couldn't look people in the eyes. My knees were giving out. I had to sit down. I couldn't do anything. So he goes, you know what? Enough's enough. He goes over and he whispers in this girl's ear, this one that I've liked so many years. He whispers in her ear and gets her and all of her friends to come to me. And they were gorgeous. And I was terrified. And I remember wondering, what did he just say? Why are they coming here? And I realized something. See, as a boy, I had a dream. My dream? To be a magician. Magic, card stuff. I've been up in my room, honing my skills, perfecting my routines for years, waiting for the day that I had an audience. See, no one knew I could do magic except for my oldest friend. It was in that moment I realized what he said. He told them I could do magic, and my audience was coming to me. Now, fortunately, magic, that I can do. So I performed every chance I got for everyone in that room. I didn't speak. I barely looked up. But I performed. And most importantly, I found my secret. The secret to facing my fear. Now, I wish I could say that everything changed from that day forward. That all of a sudden I was confident and I was this different person. I was able to find everything I was looking for in life. But that'd be a lie. Did things change? Yeah, completely changed the trajectory of my life. But it still took one baby step at a time in order to truly face my fear and overcome what was holding me back. You see, the next phase of my life, if you asked me where I was from, I would say, where do you think? If you were to say Zimbabwe, I'd go, yeah, how did you know? And quickly Google where that was. Right? You see, I was terrified, or, more accurate, I was ashamed. I was ashamed of my past. I was ashamed of my choices, my disability. I was ashamed that you felt bad all because you said, hey, what's your accent? And I said it was a speech impediment. You were like, oh, I'm so sorry. I felt ashamed. I think if I dig deep though, if I'm really honest with you, I was ashamed that my fear still never stopped, continued to control my life. Like I said, about a decade later was when I finally took that fear and got rid of it completely, because I stood on a stage in front of 1,000 of my peers. A group of my kinsmen flew halfway around the world with me so that I could compete and tell the story that I just shared, winning a national speaking championship. To be honest, it still blows my mind at the idea of that shy little boy who hid behind his mother's skirt, standing on stage, sharing his story, becoming an international speaker, being in over 12 countries, working as a business facilitator and coach, working with corporations around the world. My job is literally standing on stage or standing online and on video and speaking to people, whether it's hundreds or thousands, working in the areas of leadership, sales, uniting your team, developing your strategy, figuring out how to truly get your customers to come to you rather than you have to go to them, and leave those customers so ecstatic about you that they brag about you to their friends and family, building your business. Typically 32% increase in sales, usually 3 months or less. Never would have been possible if it wasn't for that moment on that stage where metaphorically that hand was on my shoulder, giving me the choice. Am I going to take the step I need to take to make the difference in my life and the lives of those around me? Or am I going to let my fear win and cower in the corner? You see, if you get nothing else out of this video but this one thing, I want you to remember this. There's something about you that will make a difference in this world. You have your own magic. You have your own ability. You have a skill that you can do better than anybody else. And then if you're a bit like me and you let fear control it, fear preventing you from taking the step you need to take, from living the life you deserve, from making an impact on the world, or improving the life of that one person you love, or anything in between that you... Look, I'll tell you what I was told. You take for it what you were. If you are not living your life to the fullest potential, if you are not being the biggest person you can be, if you're not going out there and making a difference and fulfilling your mission, and if you don't even know what it is, that's fine. Figure it out and take those steps. But if you're not going out there every single day and being the best version of you, then you're being selfish. Because people need you right now. People need you to stand up and be who you are and who you really, really are. You need more people who can be true leaders in this world. Remember, there was 3 steps I took. And if this helps you, if this gets you on the path, then hallelujah, take that step. Because action number 1 is, what are you truly scared of? What is really holding you back? That thing you always wanted to do, that mission, that burning desire inside you. What is really stopping you? Once you answer that, ask question number 2. How can you help yourself? Is there a knowledge you could gain? A course you could take? Are you like me? Do you have a mentor you could reach out to that could support you along the way to help you get where you're going, who has done what you want to do or knows the steps to take to get you there quickly? But most importantly is step number 3. You must make the choice. Now is the time. Take that step. Live life your way.